And we are live, I think. Right, let's get this text sorted first so I can see it on the screen here as well. Hopefully that'll load. So the way that I'm doing it, pardon me, the way that I'm doing it is that I am currently doing it on my phone here, and my actual computer screen is here. So I will see anyone who logs in and starts watching, and I'll see your messages here, because trying to see it on this screen is a little difficult. Pardon me. So, welcome to the live stream. It's just going to be a very chilled one. It's not going to be a massive show or anything like that. I'm not going to be like performing as strongly as I usually do. I'm saving that, and I'll tell you why later on. But for now, it's just going to be a few bits and pieces of poetry that I've done in the past, some bits that I've never really done, and some bits that I've written and never really shared, and then some bits that we actually do know. That will be the best way to go about this, I think. This will be saved for posterity anyway, so if you can't watch it now, you might watch it later. That's just the way it is. Welcome to my room. This is where I live. It's where we're all having to live. Not my room specifically, but it's where we're all having to live at the moment. So yeah, anyway, we'll get on with it. We'll start. Pardon me. So I've got a few here and a few obviously here as well. As you can see, it's very well organised. So we'll start off with the one that I've been doing most recently at the moment, which is dad jokes, just a load of dad jokes. Start with that one because if people miss it, I've done it loads anyway, so it's fine. Loved and hated by millions, apparently invented by blokes. This is just a load of dad jokes. Did you hear what happened at the local zoo? They had too many penguins and didn't know what to do, so they rounded them all up and threw them into the lion's feeding trough. The frenzy went on for hours because they couldn't get the rappers off. Loved and hated by millions, apparently invented by blokes. This is just a load of dad jokes. Two dogs go out drinking all sorts of alcoholic stuff. They wake up the next day, one looks at the other and says, "How do you feel?" and the other goes, "Rough." A cheese factory exploded in France. There was nothing left but debris. I threw my boomerang away. Why did I need it? And then it hit me. I went to a restaurant on the moon. It had great food and great beer, but I didn't stick around for long though, as it had no atmosphere. And then I went to a wedding. It was beautiful. Even the cake was in tears. I got let go of my favourite job the other day as a human cannonball. I was fired. Why did the bike fall over? Well, it was just too tired. A horse walks into a bar and the bar owner goes, "Why the long face?" He then told the bar owner that that an airline company lost his luggage and he tried to sue them, but sadly, he lost his case. I threw out all my used pots of spices. Was a complete waste of time. Invited a mushroom to my party. Well, he seemed like a fun guy, but I'm only friends with 25 letters of the alphabet. I don't know why. And when I saw that I had grey hairs in my beard, I thought I was going to die. Them a different colour. Look, if you think that's a boring joke about the boring things of getting old, I have a boring life and a boring job where I work in a paper factory where our responsibilities are twofold. I robbed one calendar from a calendar shop. Wasn't one of my cleverest stunts. Police turned up. I got arrested. I only got away with 12 months. Police had trouble at a local nursery. A 2-year-old was resisting arrest. A serial killer pirate was mistaken for a surgeon. They only found out when they dug up a chest. They brought in an investigator. Yeah, it was just a alligator in a vest. Look, dad jokes aren't easy. I am trying my best. I wrote a song about a tortilla. Well, actually, it was more of a rap. I got asked to put the cow. I had no idea someone set fire to the cat. Loved and hated by millions, apparently invented by blokes. This was just a load of dad jokes. And these jokes, they're all awful. But I thought they were quite shareable. And I wrote them all here on paper, so I'm sorry they were terrible. So that's dad jokes. That's the easiest one. That's just one that I've done quite a lot recently. In fact, actually, on last Friday, I was on BBC Radio Manchester with dad jokes as part of Mike Sweeney's radio show at 1 o'clock. I've shared the link a few times, maybe a bit too much, but I'll share it again at the end of this, and hopefully you can listen to it, because I explain quite a bit about what I do it for. I just having a gym. I've also done a new one recently, which is very, very short, called Misunderstandings, and it's all about misunderstandings. I did it as part of a workshop, or writing workshop, and quite a few tonight that I'm going to do will come from those workshops that I've done. So this is called Misunderstandings. Laying down on the couch, I told him about my past. I delved deep into past events, lost loved and traumas I hadn't addressed, and feelings I had bottled up and repressed. He just blankly looked at me, and now I can see why I'm banned from DFS. To cheer myself up, I met friends to go base jumping. I was the last to jump off in our extreme sports group. I played an amazing riff before I hit the ground, but I really should have packed a parachute. After I healed to cheer myself up again, I went on holiday. I got my bag searched and stopped by security. I asked, why have you stopped me? We're going to have to perform a cavity search, they did say. No, you won't, I replied. I only went to the dentist yesterday. They didn't crack a smile into a room I was taken. 10 minutes later, I was sorely mistaken. And that was just one that I wrote in a workshop about being mistaken. And it all came from the end joke, and I just worked backwards. I didn't really have much time to make it good. So I've got a couple more for you. So this is called Invisible. It's just a simple one. Sometimes when I look into a mirror, I do not recognize the person staring back at me. And it's at that point that I realise I'm in the wrong house again. So the other one is called Separate Places. As part of this challenge I had to do, they were giving me the title Separate Places. Separate Pieces, and I had to make up a poem about separate pieces. So I did this one. Separate pieces fitting together, interlocking seamlessly to create anything you could think of, a creative fantasy. You can build up walls to knock them down, build a home, build a town, build a castle, make a home, build anything you've ever known. And I hope this presentation have let you know that I really fucking love Lego. And that didn't go down as well as you think it did in a serious poetry group. That was a simple one as well, called Pieces. This one is actually one that is about me. I don't often really write things about me. I write jokes and things about other bits and pieces and like more jokey things and more like themes. But this one's actually about me, and it's about dyslexia. Now, today I've been writing out some job applications for art jobs and things, and one of the things that I always have trouble with when it comes to writing official things like that is with my dyslexia. I sometimes find it quite difficult to write things when in a structure, in a paradigm that's not the way my brain works. So I did a poem about what it's like having dyslexia, what it's like growing up with dyslexia, and how it's sort of viewed and how you view yourself with it. So this is called Dyslexia. I learned that I struggled to write from an early age. I wanted to tell the story that was in my head, but it gets lost in translation to the page. Words sometimes elude me. Growing up, I couldn't keep up with the other kids. What is it that they knew that I didn't know? But I didn't. I once remember hearing a teacher postulating that I might be a little slow, but I didn't think so. I mean, I could read. I got through the Magic Key books, Biff, Chip, Kipper and Floppy, and I moved through the other required reading with some speed, and I knew what words looked like. I could hear them and understand them in my mind as I read, but that is where they stayed in my mind, like being trapped behind a wall in my head. B-A-R-R-I-E-R spells barrier. I wasn't hopeless. I would be able to verbally inform you of the story I was telling, but when it came to overseeing what I had done, they, like me, get lost amongst the spelling. Spelling, like spells, spells, like magic. That's what spelling seemed to me. I wanted to write stories about robots and knights and robot dragons in distant galaxies, but with... Oh, fuck, this is hard. But with the process of processing my we'll get it. But in the process of processing my procreational thoughts into a coherent collection of words to paint a story for the reader to digest, I'd fail at the fundamentals, like spelling wizard with an S. EMBARRASSED, embarrassed. I was embarrassed. It wasn't fun not being good at writing, knowing that parts of my brain are caught up in some sort of existential fighting, having to reread sentences to make sure they fully stunk in. Being asked to write a coherent essay in a set time limit under exam conditions would make my head spin. But I was lucky, because I found another way to give the thoughts and feelings and words that were stuck in my head, and that was through being creative. It was like a door that was open to me, a communicational tool to make me feel like I wasn't so much an oddity, a chance to explore the frustrations I felt struggling to get the sequences to sequence correctly in order to earn the grade or explain myself, and play my hand against the hand that my brain plays itself. So that is what I did. CONFIDENCE, confidence. So why did I write this? Well, it wasn't easy, I can tell you that. But I got a feeling that I must tell you that what you may think is a failing of yours might actually be a plus, and try to celebrate the diversity that can find in all of us. So I struggle to write words sometimes, and I found how I work and muddled happily on through, and doing this has led me right here, writing poetry and being able to perform it to you. And I'm not a fan of inspirational quotes, but there is one quote that I think is actually kind of true, and that quote is, you should do whatever you can do, and just be you. And that's dyslexia. So that's just a poem about dyslexia and how I've viewed it and how I've tried to understand it. Obviously not explained as best as it could be because I have dyslexia. So that's that one for us. So I think that's the main bulk of the top ones. Yeah. Wrote a new one today. It's very quickly. Is the racism in the British press? Yes. So we'll go a bit further on. Recently I've done a poem to some music, which I've never done before. And I wrote one called Home, and it's about my hometown of Blackpool, and I did it to some music. This is called Home. Home, a place where I know I can always go, from the breath of the sea and the sand from which I am grown. A tower shining bright in the dead of night, a beacon of hope, and that's home. You see, to me, it's not just a plot of land, it's memories, where I took my first steps, found love and regrets, where my heart is set. And those memories of mine, from time to time, I project upon the screens of my subconscious like shadow puppetry silhouettes, and I can hear them playing out in my headspace hippodrome. The seagulls sing the songs of home. And if Blackpool Tourist Information Board ever wants to pay me for that, that'd be quite useful. So that's just a simple one called Home. We'll move on now to one that we know, as I've done one about media, because I'm very interested in the media, and obviously with the current situation that's going on with obviously Meghan Markle, the royals and everything, and we're starting to question the media and what it's doing and what its institution is, and I think that's very healthy that we do that. I wrote this a few years ago about the media and how it affects us and how it hits us very quickly with a barrage of news, and it's called the Shit Yourself Parade, and it's a very quick one. I've never got it right since I've written it in one go, so we'll give it a shot. This is called the Shit Yourself Parade. Now, there's a few things in here that I wrote a few years ago which kind of comes a bit off as pathetic now. You'll notice them very quickly. Global warming is getting faster. We're heading for another economic disaster. There's yet again been another mass shooting. Can we only expect another summer of looting? There's a possibility of pandemic from the Zika virus. Your children being radicalised and Miley Cyrus. Holiday travel disruption going on for miles. The BBC of the 70s and paedophiles. The weather's getting more extreme every year. Political unrest in North Korea. England leaving the Euros rather quickly. Len Goodman. Less strictly. Tesco meat we can't endorse because they were once found to contain about 80% horse. Then there's ISIS, the terrorism crisis, the cost of fuel, energy bill price rises, internet stalkers with an ashamed persistence, the collapse of the NHS and antibiotic resistance, war in the Middle East, the fragility of peace, the number of calories you take in, the number of the beast. The reason for our life is an unanswered mystery, unlike what people will think if they saw your internet search history. Hackers hacking in and breaking in security codes. Winter's coming in, we don't have enough root grip for the roads. Are we all going to die from the common cold, or are we all living in a country that's getting increasingly old? Katie Hopkins had said something that's way out of line. The changing public opinion and the rise of hate crime. An asteroid could hit us and wipe us out in a second if we don't already do that over our nuclear weapons. Immigrants are coming in to take your job. Society's crumbling and football yobs. Pirates taking over cargo ships. Victoria Beckham kissing a kid on the lips. Children are getting fat and eating too many sweets. Poverty porn and Benefit Street. The price upon London houses and the increased price of rent and the fluctuating figures of unemployment. That is terrible. The price of London houses and the increased price of rent and the fluctuating figures of unemployment. Potholes in the road, now there's an annoyance, not as much as I would argue as corporate tax avoidance. The rainforest being cut down, the loss of trees, and just what is killing all the bees. Rising ocean currents, coastline receding, misogyny and public breastfeeding. Situations that arrive when no one expects it. The Panama Papers and, of course, Brexit. There's a rise in mugging, severe localised flooding, fake security checks on cars, lone gunmen at large, uncertainty in trade, and Nigel Farage. That is such a hard one to do. I've never got that right the first time round. But we had a go, didn't we? That's all you can say. All right, so we've got through this at quite a pace. So we're getting near the end, really, already. But as I say, it was only a quick, short thing I was doing tonight. Okay, we'll do a couple of serious ones, because I never really do serious ones. I sort of skirt around it a little bit. But this is one that I wrote because I'm really into animation. I make animation, I make motion graphics. I also like watching animation because I just think it's quite good to just expand your, creativity and horizons. And I think you can get away with a lot of stuff in animations that you can't in real life. And art styles are always really important to me. And I watched this animation about an old man sat on a hill looking at his wife's grave, and it went on for ages, but it was actually really moving. Although by that definition, I just did not make it sound good at all. But this is called There Is a Hill, and I wrote as a response to that, and I never normally do stuff like that, so, bear with us. There is a hill. I'm going to burp. No, I'm all right. There is a hill. I sit there and wait for you still, and the wind whips up the leaves of sycamore yellow. They dance as we did, as we will. The clouds seem so close that with an outstretched arm I could touch them, swirl them around, paint the sky cotton white with images of you. A beautiful picture in a beautiful sky, write to you in cirrus cloud calligraphy to let you know that here on your hill I will come and wait for you, as I always did, as I always do. I will wait for you to join you again. I don't normally write serious ones. And then I did this one straight after it. I may never leave a mark in history, I may never cure a deadly disease, I may never save the trees and save the bees. I'm afraid I just don't have the expertise. I may never write a song or one that people can sing along, be played all night long, lyrics that make someone feel like they belong. I try playing instruments, but I just can't, they all sound wrong. I may never be a great movie star with a career that goes far, get roles and awards, wealth, big money, big house, fancy car, go out and eat at fancy restaurants where we consider snacks as caviar. I can't even pretend that is a possibility. I may never go to deep space, become a tennis ace, have my art showcased, become the most valued person in the workplace. When some names will be remembered in capitals, mine will just be nothing but lowercase. Because when it comes to the rat race, I doubt I'll ever finish in first place. But what I can do is that if I can make you feel loved and make you smile, it does not matter what I ever did, because what I did do was worthwhile. And if Clinton Cards are interested in that, they're more than welcome to it. We'll go for, the last three are ones we already know, so we'll go with those. We'll do Space is Ace first, because it's the most kiddie-fied one, but it's the one that people seem to really like. So we'll go with that one for the last three. So this is called Space is Ace. It's one just because I really like space, because look around, I'm a dork. I'm wearing a Studio Ghibli t-shirt. What do you expect? I want to talk about something that I love, that can be found up at night, way up above. It's a place that I would describe as ace, and that place is space, because space is ace. It's a never-ending expanse full of planets and stars, full of Star Wars and Star Treks, Luke Skywalkers and Captain Picards, a place where we live, albeit we are only very small. It's easy to feel that we are lonely, but let me try and assure you that we are not lonely at all. From a tiny, unimaginable point this all began and exploded and littered an expanse with planets, stars and suns. It was a violent cacophony of explosions, of destruction, but also of rebirth, and it gave us our home where we all live now, our planet Earth. This tiny rock, in comparison to the rest, where all our star molecules and light beams from the beginning have come to rest, is our home, full of seas, sands and lands, and when our species, our human race, makes its stand. When you think of the scale of the universe, it's easy to feel we're all alone, that there's no other life in an inhabitable zone. That may be depressing to some, but it's not to me, because if that is true, then how amazing is it that we came to be? We came from what you call a primordial soup, from bacteria, amoeba-like creatures in ponds where over time these cells started to form together and form stronger bonds. As the face of the planet changed, we also changed too and became creatures in the seas. Then we left the safety of the water to the land and became what we now know as chimpanzees. We continued to evolve with opposable thumbs and the ability to walk upright, gain cognitive thought and reasoning, learnt about the day and the night, and we created civilizations, and we at the time ruled the day, although I would try to say that we have got somewhat lost along the way. For this to happen, it took billions of years of happy accidents. The universe turned its gears and it's not over yet. It continues to move on. If the universe was a clock and you wanted to gauge how long we've been around since it had begun, if we did it in minutes, we have hardly even been around for one. But why are we here? What is the point? Well, that is a little difficult to pinpoint, but I have a theory. We are what we call primarily carbon-based life forms, the same element that can be found in abundance in galaxies, in massive solar storms. We are made of the same elements the universe is made from, the same things that you see up there in the night above. And I agree with Carl Sagan myself when he said we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. I can back this all up if we have it enough. We are actually made of star stuff. We are the universe incarnate. We embody the stars. We study space and all its scars, from black holes to supernovas, from all the galaxies far away. We see all this from our small part of the universe, where for now we stay, and we have unlocked many mysteries of the universe, and there's still many more to unravel, like what is dark matter, and can we ever achieve light travel? We have achieved this in such a small amount of time, these vast concepts that boggle the mind. We are capable of so much, of understanding and of truth, and just like space, there is no roof. From bacteria in a pond to the human race, we are the universe itself. And that's why, for me at least, space is pretty ace. And that's just a poem about staying true to things that you like and you love. Like, I love space. I love learning about space and watching documentaries about space. I've just watched Brian Cox slowly talk about space for ages in a massive desert for some reason recently. We'll go with this one as a penultimate one. It's the one that I like performing the most. It's the one that I want to take places, and as a little bit of I guess news, I suppose. I have been in contact with the Greater Manchester Fringe. I am looking to get myself a venue with them. They've approved my show, basically. They like the concept, they like the idea. So I'm looking at getting myself a venue to do a one-night event, possibly two if ticket sales are fine, but you never know. One's probably enough. In September, and it will be largely based around Sold Out. I'm currently working on it, but hopefully we'll have a venue by then. So this is Sold Out. I feel like chicken tonight, like chicken tonight, like chicken tonight. I just don't feel right. And I know I'm feeling weaker when I really should be stronger, but I'm not powered by Duracell, the battery. That's the battery that lasts longer. You see, there's a saying, you should take the smooth with the rough, but I'm not the Milky Bar kid. He's strong and tough, and only the best is good enough. The creamiest milk, the whitest bar, the good taste of Nestle, Milky Bar. Maybe I should man up, grab a Snickers, get some nuts, but my heart feels broken like a Yorkie bar dropped to the ground that's not well sold to girls. You see, a relationship that slowly fades and dies over time, constantly shaken back to put the freshness back. No, I feel like I'm jumping through hoops like giant polos, the mint over hole, and I don't know what to do, and you only get an ooh with Taifu. So I'm planting my seeds of hopes into lines and hoping these beans of hopes will flourish. Remember, beans means Heinz, and my friends are saying, Ant, you're going too fast, you're trying too hard. There's always alternatives, and they're right, because for everything else, there's MasterCard, and it's all because the lady loves milk tray. But not me. Maybe I should just take a break, have a Kit Kat, but oh, too, we are better together. That I believe I have known certain T-Mobile life is for sharing, but she had the most beautiful eyes that I'd ever seen. Maybe she was born with them. Maybe it was Maybelline, and I wanted those eyes to fall upon me so me and her could just restart this. But I feel like I'm missing something, that Max Factor, the makeup of makeup artists, and I wish I could say my name was Ron. Seal, exactly what it says in the tin, or John Smith's No Nonsense, but I can't do any of that because my brain's mashed. Remember, from mash, eat, smash. But she was so good, like Cravendale milk, even the cows want it back. And if you saw her, you say she had this kind of Kiora, and when you ever saw her out and about, her beauty hit you like Clavonia, cough medicine with clout. She had the most beautifully built body that I'd ever seen. She also sort of had the temperament of a queen, and she'd only eat nothing but the most healthy prepared cuisine. I suppose in many ways you could say that she was a lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine, but I don't have that. I'm now my own. And let me tell you, no miles a day helps you work, rest and play, and happiness is not a cigar called Hamlet. And even though Heineken refreshes the parts that other beers cannot reach, the answers are not at the bottom of a bottle. You have to get up each day and go to work on an egg. Take each day a Nike and just do it. And try to forget holding your hands that feel as soft as your face when you use mild, green, fairy liquid. Now just flake apart in a company like only the flakiest chocolate, like chocolates never have tasted before. Now I need to pick up myself up, pick up a penguin, because I know that I've been tangoed. I feel like Aldi, like brands, but only cheaper, and I remain upset and cry, but at least I can dry my tears using one sheet. That does plenty. And I'll try and reinvent myself, and I'll do it by the book, and I'll try and give myself that London look, because the future's bright, the future's orange, but it's not Terry's, it's mine. And I shall try and live like Sainsbury's and live well for less, and everyone that I know and everyone that I love will be my Tesco's, because every little helps. And I'll try not resent myself when alone at night, because love it or hate it, that's Marmite. And I should do all this but never fully forget that she was my Gillette, the best a man can get. And that was it, and the best a man can get. And for everything, for all of it, I thought she was my one. But maybe now I need to accept that she's washing machines last longer with Calgon. There's 42 different products and services and jingles I need to remember during that. It's a little difficult. But we'll go to the final one now. With everything that I ever do, one of the things that I like to make sure that I mention at some point is mental health. I think mental health is incredibly important to talk about, remove the stigma from, and it's not easy, it's difficult. It's never easy talking about mental health, especially when you're talking about it by yourself. But you should, and if you ever feel like you're having a down day, be open about it. Make sure that you talk. Bottling up does not help in the slightest. And this final poem is my response to all of that, called There Is a Place Beyond the Trees. And it's my final piece for you tonight, I suppose. In half an hour, I'm pretty chuffed I managed to get it that fast. This is called There Is a Place Beyond the Trees. There is a place beyond the trees, and it is beautiful. But in order to even get there to the trees, you must first go through the brambles and the weeds and vines that bind. And these vines, they will wrap around, they're firmly rooted in the ground, and they will grab you, pull you back, and slow you down. And they will tie around your legs, they will tie around your arms, and they will continue to be binding. And carrying that weight with you will be quite tiring, but you will get on through. I know this, even if I do not know you, because there is a place beyond the trees, and it is beautiful. However, you may not see that on your journey. You may feel tired, you may feel weak, and you may feel flawed, but that's only because your vision is obscured by these brambles, weeds, and vines that bind, and you need to clear them in order for you to focus your mind. And you will do this, but only at your own pace. Remember, everybody's journey is different, and this isn't a race, and there is no prize for first place, but there is a place beyond the trees, and it is beautiful. But a part of your journey may demand that to remove these brambles, weeds, and vines that bind, you're going to have to use your hands, because you have lost all your usual tools you usually use to get on through. But I would argue it is always worth it when you're getting back to you. These brambles, weeds, and vines that bind, however, they have thorns. They will dig into your skin, they will scrape, they will stab, and they will peel. But that is all part of the ordeal. Remember, in time, your hands will heal, and you may end up with scars, but see them as mementos of when life got hard, but you got on through because you knew there is a place beyond the trees, and it is beautiful. And one day, in your own time, you will burst on through. You will get through the brambles, weeds, and vines that bind, and you will be tired. You will be exhausted, battered, bruised, and your hands may bleed. Then you will look up, and you will see nothing but trees, and then you'll realise that with everything you've been through and everything you've learnt and brought with you, that the rest of your journey you'll get through with relative ease as you continue your journey through the trees, because there is a place beyond the trees, and having you there is the reason it is beautiful. Well, thanks to the few people that came and watched tonight. It will be saved for posterity. You could probably find it on my Facebook if you want to share it and all that. That'd be grand. I've been working on some other things as well. I now have a Instagram page just for poetry, which is at abpoet1. I also have a Twitter, which is at abpoet. I think it's abpoet1 there as well. I'm going to sort the Facebook stuff out soon as well to try and differentiate between my freelance work and poetry. As I said, I'm looking at doing a show at the Greater Manchester Fringe, so I'm just trying to get a venue sorted for that, and I'll pay the fees and whatever's. I think if I do it, it'd be ticketed, about £5 a ticket. I think that's reasonable. And also, I am looking at doing a few other festivals coming up soon if restrictions are lifted to a degree where it's safe to do so. I will not go to an event and ask people to go there if I do not believe it is safe. But I'm in talks of doing a couple of festivals and a few gigs here, there, and everywhere. But thanks for tuning in, anyone who did tonight. Thanks to anyone who's watching this later on. I appreciate not everyone can watch at the same time. But this was just a relaxed sort of thing of just reading a few bits I've written here, there, and everywhere that I've not really shared before. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask over your nose and mouth. Over your nose and mouth, for Christ's sake. And don't read the Sun newspaper. Take care.